Yo, Elliot! So we got a question from our buddy Maz, who had a shoulder subluxation 3 months ago and has been doing physiotherapy for the past 2 months, and he realizes that this is a recurring problem. He's had this shoulder injured in the past. He wants to stabilize the joint so that he can continue training, becoming a stronger version of himself without getting these injuries. He's asking around, he's wondering, what should I do to help stabilize my shoulder? Should I use, he talks about Indian clubs or steel clubs. His physiotherapist won't give him a straight answer. No one else is giving him a straight answer. Here is an idea that Elliott Hulse might be able to support you with. Shoulder stability is contingent upon your ability to maintain an instant axis of rotation within the joint. You should be able to have full mobility of the joint. You should be able to move in all ranges of movement, all directions here. You should be able to move that whole ball and socket joint without the concomitant activation of accessory muscles. What the hell does that mean? That means if I watch this, you see some guys that push and they do this or they pull, and here, this is a typical one. If you watch people when they do like rows, they do this, right? That means the traps are overactivating in association with the shoulder movement. It's unnecessary. The shoulder blades should be able to retract, and you should be able to move smoothly throughout the joint without turning on all types of muscle viruses, activating all your muscle viruses. So that means that you need to be able to not only move throughout the entire range of motion for both of those joints, but you also have to be strong enough to stabilize the joint. And the way you're going to do that, the way you're going to be able to make that happen is with various isometric holding patterns in the different ranges of motion. This is going to require what they call mind-body muscular activation. You're going to have to be very mindful of the isometric activation of the musculature associated with the full range of motion, but also stability in each portion of the full range of motion, right? I'm talking in fucking circles today, so let me just show you what I'm talking about. So after making sure that you are free from the muscular viruses that would restrict your range of motion, right? If you don't have a full range of motion, that's the first place you start, by stretching. Right? I've got lots of videos on shoulder stretches, and then also stretching muscles that are concomitantly activated, that activate it where there shouldn't be any activation when you move your shoulder. So a lot of times it's the sternocleidomastoid, the trapezius, and to a degree, which is inappropriate, the pec minor. So you're gonna end up stretching those muscles. That's what it usually is for most people. The weakness is usually the scapular adductors. But anyway, so stretching and then strengthening. And what I mean by isometric holds, I mean get into a push-up position. I mean a solid structure, posturally proficient push-up position, right? Keeping your shoulders down and back, spreading your fingers wide, feeling the energy go throughout all 4 fingers through the palm of your hand. Really just, I mean, you could burn yourself out just in a proper push-up position. I mean, I'm constantly having to draw my shoulders down, draw my shoulder blades together, keep my chest up, continue pushing through my hands. I mean, that's ridiculous. That requires so much energy. I'm not even pushing off the goddamn ground. Look at what I'm doing here. I'm constantly having to adjust, turning things on, turning things off, just to be able to do that. In yoga, they call this a plank, right? In Pilates, they do this. In gymnastics or any form of martial arts, wherever the mind plays a role in the activation of the muscles, basically, it's just another way to say very conscious bodybuilding, like the old school guys used to do, just being very conscious of the exercises they're doing, instead of just whipping weights around like most of us do now. You can begin stabilizing the shoulder. As you get really strong in this position, start working down towards the full range of motion. Do it through this range of motion, right? Pushing, and then through pulling, right? So you've seen me do inverted rows before. If you don't know what an inverted row is, just Google it. inverted row where you're sort of pulling yourself up. It's like a reverse push-up. That's another thing they call it. Do the same thing. Hold yourself in a very solid posture position where your sternocleidomastoid, the trapezius, the pec minors are not activated like I described earlier, and the scapular adductors are drawing together, and you're just bang, scapulas together, and you're just holding that shit. So you're notice that you're inverted. You know, you're prone. You're holding yourself up. Then start building the full range of motion. Very slowly. You could spend weeks or months on just a push-up and an inverted row. No weights, just your body weight. Going very slowly through the full range of motion to really come to know what true stability in that joint is. You can also do it through pushing above. I would work on horizontal pushing and pulling, but also you could do it this way, right? You can take dumbbells, make sure that everything's lined up perfectly, right? Make sure that your elbows don't look like this. Boom. You're right here, almost like you're doing behind the neck presses, right? But we'll do it with dumbbells because you might not be stable enough to do that yet with the barbell. Boom, and then straight over your head. You should be able to do that with no weight against the wall. I've shown you this before, right? Where you sit against the wall with your butt in the corner, elbows hit the wall, wrists hit the wall, and then try to slide all the way up. That might be tough enough. You might not even need dumbbells to do the overhead thing. Just putting your elbows and wrists against the wall and sliding up the wall. Just doing this. They call these wall presses or wall slides. Just doing that, dude. And then you might be able to do the same thing with probably not chin-ups right away. Chin-ups are gonna be really hard, but maybe pull-downs or assisted pull-ups where you go through that same exact range of motion, trying to keep all the other muscles from jumping in and doing weird shit, and then just pulling straight down. So you've got forward, you got pushing, you've got pulling, you've got pushing, you've got pulling. Dude, what it requires is patience, persistence, focus, concentration, and commitment. Doesn't that suck? Because nobody wants to develop those virtues. But I tell you, not only will your shoulder be better, healthier, you'll stop getting these ridiculous injuries, but you'll be a stronger version of yourself because you put yourself through the rigors of diminishing the ego's need to use heavy weights for everything all the time, and also the commitment associated with getting your body healthy first before worrying about fucking side deltoid caps and stupid shit like that. You want to have a healthy shoulder. That's the first thing.
Yo, Elliot,